Hi everyone. I'm on the internet without a shirt, so not something I ever thought I would be doing, that's for sure. But nonetheless, sorry, I'm just gonna put a little extra moisturizer on my neck. I'm doing a, oh, I'm hitting my voice box or whatever. I'm doing a video on prom makeup, just like doing some tips and tricks and techniques and stuff. And I think it's better to do it with at least your chest and your neck exposed, because then you can see if everything is the same color. If you need to do a little bit more tanning in certain areas with sunless tanner, or some foundation that is made for the body. Anyway, so I've just moisturized my skin. Well, not just. The thing with moisturizer, and if you take a shower before, which I would probably recommend, especially if you are going to be doing sunless tanner, and you have exfoliated in the shower, you've exfoliated your body and your face. I think exfoliation in the shower is one of the best places you can do it, because the pores are going to be open from the heat and the steam. It's going to really allow you to get in those pores and clean them out nice and deep, and then it's going to soften the skin for any dry patches you might have. Once you've gotten out of the shower, just towel dry very lightly, maybe throw your hair up in a towel, and then apply your body moisturizer and your facial moisturizer while your skin is still a little bit damp, especially if you keep the door closed and you've got a lot of steam. The most effective time to apply your moisturizer. And the reason being is, if you think about a plant, it needs the water at the roots to absorb the very base of it, right? So when you do moisturizer when your skin is dry, it's like just watering the leaves. It's not really going to do anything. You really need to get it down into the roots, and when your skin is still damp, it's like the roots are exposed and ready to absorb all the moisture. And even if you have oily skin, you still need moisture in your skin in order to keep it healthy, keep it hydrated. You know, oil has nothing to do with hydration. It's just sebum, it's sweat and stuff like that. So make sure your skin is adequately moisturized and appropriately moisturized. Don't use a really thick, rich cream if you have oily skin, and vice versa. So I've put a moisturizer that doesn't have sunscreen in it at all, because I want to be able to control any SPF that I'm putting on my face. CeraVe moisturizer, you can get it from the drugstore. It's really cheap, really good, and I think it works for all skin types. And so I've put that on my face, and I used just a different moisturizer that's a little bit richer on my neck and my chest, just because my skin tends to not be as smooth, and I guess, I don't know, it's just a little bit different texture. So everything has been moisturized, and make sure you give your skin time to absorb the moisturizer. Don't just go straight for makeup afterwards, because your skin's gonna be like, oh, there's so much slipperiness, I don't know what to do, oh dear. So also another thing, if you want your makeup to last a long time, you need to make sure that you are working in layers. That's the biggest piece of advice I can tell you, is layers. Because like a chocolate cake, if you only have one layer, it's just like, eh. But if you have like a 6-layer chocolate cake, especially with frosting in between, that's really going to be a lot more decadent, a lot more rich, and in turn it's going to kind of be like your makeup. It's just going to look better. It's going to have a nicer appearance when you work in layers. So I'm taking a Kleenex. You can take it and you can peel it apart, and now you've got these two really thin, almost blotting sheet things, right? Take these, or take one of them at least, and blot off any extra moisture, focusing, I'd say, around your eyes, because any excess moisture is gonna make your eyeshadow crease and stuff. So make sure you've absorbed all the excess moisture and oil that your skin hasn't been able to absorb, because that's just gonna make things slip and slide around. So this is a process of prepping your skin and getting rid of all the excess that doesn't need to be on there. You know, like when you, I'm just going to make a lot of analogies, a lot of references, just because I think it helps level the playing field here. But, you know, when you scoop flour out of a jar and you have a measuring cup, you use the knife to kind of scrape off all the extra. This is what we're doing right now. We're getting rid of all the stuff that would just make our cake not as good. Let's make cake the reference we're making today, yeah? So, we have blotted our skin is nice and ready and prepped. Now we're going to go in with primer. I think primer is not essential for every day, but for special events like these, it can absolutely be a godsend. It can be a really good investment to have, but it's not necessary, it's not essential. It's just something that I think really helps, and I really enjoy having it when I want to make my makeup look as good as possible. A few different ones that are pretty good. Everyone knows the Smashbox one from Sephora is insane, and I don't really like it, but everybody knows it. I think Hourglass really makes excellent primers. They're really expensive. I think they have a kit of this right now. It might be oh, I don't know, I'll put the price below, but it's 2 of these in a really small size. And so you can try both of them, and if you like them, then you can buy the full size. I haven't even bought the full size of this because it's too expensive. But this is my primer of choice, the Hourglass Mineral Veil. This does have SPF 15, so I'm not going to use a foundation with any sunscreen because this will be the most that I need. Since it's going to be under makeup, it's not as much of an issue, but any like powder foundation on top with SPF? So Hourglass makes good ones. You can get this one from Target, the NP Set Pre-Foundation Pore Perfecting Primer. This one's not that bad. It's not excellent, but it's not bad. And then I know I've really wanted to try the L'Oreal Studio Secrets, the Soufflé or whatever it is. That one is really good for like if you have any texture issues like big pores or any like acne scars like I have. That's a great one to kind of like really kind of make a balm like texture. So here we go. I'm going to use the pump and I'm going to get the primer out on my fingertips. And this is where you really want to use the less is more rule. Same with eye primer. You don't want to use too much because again, the extra moisture and the excess oil and stuff is just it's gonna sit on your skin and it's gonna kind of break down the foundation right before your very eyes. Especially throughout the night, it's actually going to make your foundation not last longer. It's going to shorten it rather than lengthen the time that it's going to be on your skin. So definitely less is more, but make sure it's really just nice and smooth on your skin. You know, like I said in the previous video, if you haven't seen that, definitely like, if you want to watch it, you can go for it. But it's just like some like my top 7 rules or whatever. And as I said, like take the extra time to really do your foundation and your makeup and your eyeshadow and your whatever. Just take the time to really work everything into the skin. Enjoy the ritual of like getting ready, you know what I mean? So, we've got this, and it's all worked in, and it's all smooth, and if you want to blot again, if you are someone, especially have oily skin, and you're prone to being oily, make sure you blot in between layers, just because any extra oil is just gonna combine with any new oil that's made, and it's gonna be like, let's ruin the party, and that's what it'll do. Whereas you're like the police, and you're stopping this, you're not letting this happen in your house. Not in my house. Shoot. Oh, I forgot. Another good time also to prep your lips, putting lip balm on. I'm using a lip balm I hate. I know, don't judge me. Because it's gonna help soften your lips and condition them before you go in with the lip products. Which I think I'm gonna split this video or this thing into 3 parts, focusing on skin, focusing on eyes, focusing on lips, just so I can go into detail. And that way you can take bits and pieces. If you're like, I'm just gonna wear mascara, then you can focus on your skin and your lips, you know, etc. Just depending on your preference. So you've blotted in between. The primer has really kind of smoothed out the texture, and it's just gonna kind of create a level playing field, not a level playing field, but just like a smooth canvas for your foundation to go on. So there's that. And this Mineral Veil primer you can use as an eye primer as well. So I've just worked a little bit of it underneath my eyes and over my eyelids. I'm still gonna go in with separate primer, but definitely can use it for your eyes as well. So foundation, as I mentioned before, avoid SPF because it photographs horribly if you're not using professional softbox lighting or any strobe lighting that is diffused by an umbrella. It's strong, concentrated light, especially cell phone lighting. That's just like, bam, that's a flashlight in your face. And it's gonna flash back and you're gonna look white, but the rest of your body's gonna look tan. It's just gonna look weird. Be very careful of that. So I'm going to use some foundation without any SPF in it. Yeah, I'd say this is the most accessible MAC Face and Body Foundation. It's not the best coverage in the world. You can go in with concealer if you need to. Obviously, like, please be my guest. I love concealer, trust me. But it also is one of the longest wearing. It has a film former in it, so it kind of forms to the skin, and which also means it doesn't really come off on clothes as easily. If you rub your dress on it, yeah, if someone's ripping it off you later, which wouldn't recommend doing, be smart, but it's not going to transfer as easily as regular foundation would. And if you need to even out your chest, sweetheart, I mean, you gotta be careful. So this is the foundation I'm gonna be using. It is meant to be, I mean, they use it backstage at fashion shows because it doesn't come off on the designer's clothes. So this is a weird texture if you've never worked with it before. It doesn't feel like any foundation I've ever felt because it gets thicker as you blend it. But I really do think applying it with fingers is the best way to go, or like a stippling brush, if I can frickin' find mine. Something that's really going to work it into the skin. If you have drier skin, definitely you can just pat it on and make sure you've exfoliated well and moisturized well and just pat it on and don't do as much buffing. But really just figure out a way to work it into the skin that you think would work best for you. So I'm going to get it on my fingers. Right, it looks fine and normal now, and I'm just going to work slowly. Oh, there it's going. As you work it, it gets into, like, you know when your skin has almost absorbed all the lotion and it kind of gets a little tacky? That's what it kind of turns into. Oh, there we go. You can get this at MAC counters or MAC stores, depending. MAC counters are usually in Macy's. I know at my mall they're in Dillard's as well. And then the MAC stores are not as easy to come by, but they recently brought Face and Body in a smaller size to the counters, so you can get your hands on it without having to run to the store, which might be far away for you. I know in Houston the MAC store is in the Galleria, and I mean, we all know if we live out in the suburbs, it's kind of not fun to go there, to drive down there. So I'm just going to really work this into the skin as well as I can, because, like I said, enjoy the ritual, enjoy getting everything nice and perfect, and really just work it into the skin. Make sure none of it sits in the hairline, especially if you haven't gone to your hair appointment yet, or if you've gone to your hair appointment, you don't want that to mess up anyone else's work or your own work. But I am going to put some of this on my neck as well, because I want everything to be the exact same color. And like I said, this doesn't come off on clothes as easily as regular foundation. So, I mean, you're going to get a little bit of transfer if you rub anything hard enough, but this really resists it more than anything. You want, I'd say a long-wearing foundation, if that's something, if you have oilier skin or you find that your makeup doesn't last as long on your skin as you'd like, it would definitely be a great option. Revlon Color Stay is a long-wearing one. Bobbi Brown has her long-wearing foundation. Smashbox makes their, like, 15-hour wear. Almay makes TLC. Did I already say Revlon Color Stay? Maybelline has their Super Stay, their 24-hour. I haven't tried that one yet, but I've wanted to. And then L'Oreal makes their Infallible. Just a long-wearing foundation, I think, could really be worth the investment. So I've really worked the foundation in, yeah? I've got everything basically one even color. I mean, I know I haven't tanned yet, which I kind of broke my rule, but I need to tan my chest, obviously. Like, look at that, that's not the same color. But I really did work on getting the foundation really, really blended. If you want to put some on your ears, I would probably use powder on my ears. Worked into the skin, and then again, with the blotting, any extra moisture that's on the skin, if you have drier skin, I don't think you need to blot as much because you want any moisture that you can get. But oily skin, blotting in between layers means that anything you put on top of it is going to go on clean. It's not going to have to, like, absorb anything first. So there is that. Now I'm going to go in with concealer. I'm going to use a concealer stick. I'm going to use the Revlon Photo Ready, which is not my favorite, but it'll do the job. And I'm just going to spot conceal by using a little tiny brush. This is a Wet n Wild eyeliner brush. But I'm just going to take the concealer and I'm going to put it only where it needs it. And make sure I blend everything out in between. Just work in thin layers. Like I said, layer, layer, layer. Don't think that you need to go in with full coverage foundation from the very beginning, because it's just not going to look right. It's going to look too heavy, too much like a mask. If only one part of your house is messy, you're not going to go in and try and clean all the other ones. You just work on the area that you need it, and then kind of just dust in all the other rooms. Does that make sense? So I've got a little bit of concealing going on here. If you need to, some foundations can be built up. I know this MAC one is really great at being built up. Rightio, so we've got foundation on. It's nice, and I've evened out the overall kind of color of my skin, but it still looks like skin. That's the important thing, and that's for everyday foundation. You don't want it to look like a mask. You don't want it to look like makeup. You just want your skin to look perfected, and that's the goal of foundation. If you don't need it on your forehead, don't put it on your forehead. just, you know, only where it's necessary. So let's see. Now let's talk about contouring and highlighting. I think it's something that a lot of people are like curious about, but they don't really know how to execute it. And I can understand, like it can be difficult. But I'd say keep it kind of subdued on prom night, because it's nice to go all out and it's nice to feel glam, but you don't need Kardashian contouring and highlighting to look good. You know what I mean? That's a little bit too much, too drag makeup, etc. So what I'm going to do is just do a little subtle contouring and highlighting. I like a nice little glow to the skin. I liked my skin to have some shape. So I'm going to go in with a little contouring and highlighting action here and there. I'm going to use a cream contour. This one's by MAC. And I'm going to, the rule of contour is stop at your eyebrow, go from the top of your ear, go under your cheekbone, and then stop at the end of the brow, just because that's where your natural contour usually sits. And blend, 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 blend everything. Don't use a contouring color that has any like red in it. This is definitely super gray brown. And I've stopped at my brow, and then I blended upwards. If you blend downwards, it's going to give you a 5 o'clock shadow. If you blend upwards, it's going to lift your cheekbones. And then I'm going to bring a little bit of that contouring on my temples just to give me a little bit of shape. I have a fairly wide forehead, and then along my jawline as well, just to kind of soften my jaw a little bit. But all the while blending everything that you can. So you can see, got a little bit of shape with that. And then when I go in with highlighting, I'm going to use this brush, and I'm going to use, what do I want to use? Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector. It's just my highlighter of choice. Like I know that when I put it on, it'll look good. And I'm actually going to work with this with using my fingers. So I'm going to get a little bit of this product. It goes a long way. It's very like super pigmented stuff. But I'm just going to pat that on my cheekbone, bring it around above the eyebrow, and blend it along, make it soft. A little bit haphazard, but still with purpose, because we just want it to look diffused. And there we go, we've got the light reflecting off my cheekbone. And then if you want to do a little bit on the brow bone as well. And then, like I said, layers. So if you want to set this with a little bit of powder contour, and if you want to set this with a powder highlighter or a shimmery eyeshadow to help lock it and keep it in place all night, that's definitely an option for you. And then blush. This is where you can really, it can go wrong or it can go incredibly right. Keep it kind of simple, keep it soft, keep it semi-subtle, but still definitely use a color that's going to make you feel comfortable, that's going to suit you the best. Just because everyone says this blush is great doesn't mean it's going to look great on you. It just means that they like it for themselves and they're thinking that it can go for everybody else. Go with something that's going to be flattering on your skin tone. It's not going to be too bright, but it's still going to give you a nice flush. It's going to make you look healthy, and it's going to kind of tie the look together, tie the contouring and highlighting together especially. I'm going to use Lover by Illamasqua, which is a nice bright apricot kind of color. I'm going to use a stippling brush. This is very pigmented stuff. I'm going to get off all the extra, tapping my brush, wiping the excess on my wrist, and then I'm just going to lightly pat this just because I don't want to use too much of the product. It's very pigmented, but I do want that kind of fresh, you can see a nice warm look to my cheeks. And that just kind of gives me a little bit of a warmth and a nice like flushed look without being too like, oh god, did you just go for a run? Is it hot in here? Do you need to step outside for a second? I can leave. Powder, I think you need to, this is important. If you're using a silica powder, which is like the Makeup Forever HD, the e.l.f. HD powder, which I actually have with me right here, e.l.f. HD, this is a silica powder. So silica is, it's like a mineral that can absorb basically like, it's like 6 times its own weight in moisture or whatever, so it's great for setting makeup, but it also is a mineral, so it reflects white if you get, if it's not applied properly. And so that can be troublesome, especially if you're on the red carpet or if you're getting your picture taken. Like, be very, very careful with the, hold on, I want blush on my forehead too. Just be very careful with the silica content, but if you're someone with oily skin, you probably need some silica in your life, especially for that night. MAC Blot Powder is a pretty great one. It's great for bringing with you for touch-ups as well. I've pretty much used all of mine. I'm going to teach you a powder trick really quick too that hopefully should make your life so much more fantastic and easy. But I do need to zoom in so I can show you guys the effect that it has. So we are up close and personal, probably way more close than you would enjoy. But I have a powder puff. You can get this from really any makeup place. I know that H-E-B sells them if you live in Texas, and theirs are pretty good. This is actually an H-E-B one, I'm pretty sure. Walmart sells them, anywhere sells them, but you just want a powder puff, and you want to get your powder, and you want to push the puff into it, and then you tap off the extra, scrape off the extra, etc. Hope I'm in focus. And then you see the pores that I have here. I mean, obviously these are never going to go away. That's just how my skin is. That's good that I have pores on my skin. It means I'm a real person. But they can be bothersome if you're getting your picture taken or if you are getting close with someone. So you take the powder puff and you press. I'm pushing really hard because I'm a man, but you just press the powder onto this area. And voila. Your pores are gone. Now this is not a permanent thing. You're gonna have to probably do this a couple times during the night if you want to keep making your pores go away. If you also want to like kind of take just a big fluffy brush and sweep off all the extra just so you don't run the risk of it like photographing weird. Other than that, like that's all you need to do is just make sure you have a powder puff with you, and you have, it can be loose or pressed powder, but I think loose powder works a little bit better. Press it into the skin, and instead of like wiping it with a brush or something, press it onto the skin, and it's gonna kind of fill in the lines where the little pores are. Same for underneath the eyes. You can do it with a brush, but it's a little bit trickier. Just press everything in. It's gonna kind of flatten everything out and fill in the gaps, fill in the blanks for you. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Another thing I didn't really mention was under eye concealer, and all you really need to know is that you just need something that's a corrector if it's really bad, and then a concealer if it's just semi-bad, but you're gonna want to just work till your head down, work with the darkest area, only really put the concealer there, and then I'd say just set it with like kind of a brightening powder just so that it ensures that it is gonna look bright and glam all day. Don't go too light though, you will look like a Kardashian. But you just kind of want to lightly set it like this with some powder or a puff, up to you, and just ensure that you're putting like kind of like a warm peachy or pink kind of color. Even if it's like a warm colored concealer, you just putting that in the darkest spot in the hollow of your eyeball socket essentially. So, and that'll just kind of lift your face. Highlighting concealers are also really great. Maybelline Dream Lumi is my favorite. So yeah, there's that, and then the next video is going to be talking about eyes, and then I will do lips. So, and then I'll talk about other stuff. So yeah, I hope you guys found this helpful, hope you enjoyed it, and until my next video, I'll talk to all you guys soon. Bye!